Long before the world learned to write its own history, before marble sculptures and dusty scrolls tried to preserve ancient truths, there lived a young warrior whose name would echo through every battlefield that came after him. His name was Achilles, the child of prophecy, the storm made flesh, the one destined to burn bright and die young. But like all legends, his story didn't begin with a battlefield. It began with a boy caught between two worlds. Achilles was born to Peleus, a mortal king, and Thetis, a sea nymph whose presence could calm raging storms. The gods looked upon him with equal parts fear and fascination. A demigod child meant potential and danger. So they sent him to the centaur Chiron, the teacher of heroes. Under Chiron's guidance, Achilles learned to hunt, to heal, and to wield a spear with a grace that felt almost unnatural. He grew fast, fierce, and brilliant, but also restless, longing for the world beyond his training grounds. And then there was Patroclus. He wasn't a demigod, nor a warrior chosen by destiny. He didn't wield prophecy or divine gifts. He was simply a boy, quiet, thoughtful, gentle, exiled from his own home after a tragic mistake. But from the moment Achilles met him, the world shifted. Patroclus became his closest companion, the anchor to his storm. They trained together, laughed together, argued like brothers, some say more than brothers, and formed a bond so deep that even the gods would one day tremble at what it could unleash. For years, their lives were peaceful, but peace in the ancient world was fragile, and one woman's disappearance shattered it entirely. Helen, Queen of Sparta, vanished with Paris, a prince of Troy. Some said she was stolen. Some said she left willingly. Whatever the truth, Greece declared war. Kings rallied their armies, prophets screamed of omens, and the greatest fleet ever assembled prepared to cross the sea. And among them, they demanded Achilles. They needed a weapon. They needed a symbol. They needed a hero who could terrify Troy before the battle even began. Achilles was reluctant. He knew what prophecy had whispered into his ear. If you go to war, you will never return home. But honor and destiny pressed against him like a weight he could not throw off. And Patroclus, loyal as the tide, chose to sail with him. When their ships reached Troy, the war erupted like lightning. The Trojans were valiant, led by Prince Hector, a warrior as noble as he was deadly. But Achilles dominated every battlefield he touched. His armor gleamed like the sun. His spear cut through men and shields as if guided by gods. And rumors spread that he was invincible, dipped in the sacred waters of the river Styx, except for the heel by which his mother held him. For a time, the Greeks believed no wall could stand against him, but the true danger wasn't the Trojans, it was pride. King Agamemnon, leader of the Greek forces, began to resent Achilles' glory. A conflict broke out between them over honor, spoils, and respect. And Achilles, furious at the insult, withdrew from the war entirely. His absence was catastrophic. Without him, the Trojans surged forward, burning ships, breaking siege lines, and tearing through Greek soldiers like a storm long overdue. Patroclus watched it all. He watched men scream for help, watched tents collapse into flames, watched the Greeks who once seemed unstoppable beg for a miracle, and Achilles refused to fight. Finally desperate, Patroclus went to him. "Let me wear your armor," he said. "Let them think Achilles has returned." It was a dangerous plan, reckless even. But Achilles could not refuse him. If he wouldn't fight for the Greeks, he would at least protect the one person he loved most. So he agreed, but with one warning. Do not go near the walls of Troy. The gods guard them. Patroclus nodded. Achilles prayed for his safety. And then the world changed. When Patroclus stepped onto the battlefield in Achilles' armor, The entire Greek army erupted in hope. The Trojans panicked. They believed the unstoppable warrior had returned, and they retreated in fear. Patroclus pushed them further. He fought with a courage he had never shown before, empowered not by destiny, but by devotion. But courage has limits, and Patroclus crossed his. In the heat of victory, he charged toward the gates of Troy, the one place Achilles warned him never to go. The god Apollo struck him from behind, ripping the borrowed armor from his body. Confused and vulnerable, Patroclus stumbled. Hector saw his chance. He drove his spear through Patroclus's chest, and the battlefield fell silent. But when Hector leaned over him, expecting Achilles, he found only a young man with shaking hands and fading breath. And in that moment, Patroclus whispered something that chilled even Troy's greatest hero. "You will die by Achilles' hand." News of Patroclus's death struck Achilles like divine lightning. He didn't cry, he roared, he tore his hair, smashed the earth beneath him, and cursed both gods and men for their cruelty. Then he made a vow, not spoken softly, not whispered in prayer, but screamed across the sea, "I will not bury him until Hector dies." Achilles returned to battle like a spirit of vengeance. His new armor, forged by the god Hephaestus, shone brighter than flame. Every Trojan who stood before him fell. Even the river he fought beside rose up in fury, clogged with bodies, and Achilles fought the river too. Finally, he found Hector. They circled each other beneath the walls of Troy, one burning with rage, the other standing with dignity, even in terror. Their spears clashed, their shields cracked. But Achilles knew every weakness of his old armor, the very armor Hector now wore. With a final strike, he killed him. But revenge had not healed him. His grief had not softened. He tied Hector's body to his chariot and dragged it before the walls of Troy, day after day, as the Trojans watched in horror. It was an insult worse than death, a crime against all sacred customs. One night, Patroclus appeared to him, not whole, not living, but as a shadow. He begged Achilles to let go, to allow their spirits to rest together. Achilles reached for him, but his hands passed through the air. Patroclus was gone, and then came the king of Troy. Old Priam, guided by the gods, slipped into the Greek camp alone. He fell before Achilles, kissed the hands that killed his son, and begged for Hector's body. It was the first time in weeks someone had looked at Achilles, not with fear, but with sorrow. Achilles wept, not for Hector, not for Priam, but for Patroclus, and for himself. He returned the body, shared a quiet meal with the grieving king, and felt something inside him finally loosen, just enough for mourning. But the story of Achilles could only end one way. Destiny kept its promise. Days later, Paris, guided by Apollo, shot an arrow that struck Achilles in the heel, the one place untouched by divine protection. Achilles fell, and with his final breath, he asked that his ashes be mixed with Patroclus's, so they would remain together for eternity. The Greeks won the war. Troy burned. But legends say there was no victory that day, only loss. A war fought for honor ended in heartbreak on all sides. And among the ashes of heroes, one truth remained. Even the greatest warrior of the age could be undone not by gods, nor kings, nor armies, but by love.